Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen, Parita's kitchen. Today we are going to be cooking for you paneer lasagna. So for those of you who don't know what paneer is, it is a cheese, cottage cheese, so it's quite a crumbly cheese. It's quite often used for vegetarian cooking in India, especially with North Indians. I personally prefer it as an alternative to tofu or halloumi because I just prefer the texture. So just a couple of tips before I take you through and show you what the ingredients are. If you want to use fresh paneer, we do have a different video where we will show you how to make homemade paneer. Then you can just crumble up the paneer by hand. If you want to use a ready-made packet of paneer, then you can just use a block, which is readily available in all the supermarkets, most supermarkets, and also the Indian shops, and you can just buy it as a block, about 250 gram block, crumble it down in a food processor and it should give you the equivalent. If it's fresh paneer you're using, you'll need 300 grams. So let's get on and let's show you the ingredients that you will need for your paneer lasagna. Let's start with what you will need for the actual paneer mixture itself. You're going to need one medium chopped onion, so I've just finely chopped that. And then you're also going to need some ginger garlic paste, which I've minced up before in a food processor. You also need 2 finely chopped green chilies. What I've decided to do is to put the chilies into the ginger garlic paste as I've done it together. You're also going to need your paneer. So as you can see, I've crumbled that up in a food processor. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of oil, and that's very basic. Going to need a knob of butter along the way. I always love butter in my food. And then you're also going to need the spices. So you will need some cumin seeds. You will also need a tiny bit of turmeric powder, which is haldi. About a teaspoon of chili powder, which I have there. And about a heaped teaspoon of coriander and cumin powder, which is dhania and jeera. Okay, and we are going to have some freshly cut coriander to taste. So that's what you're going to need for the actual paneer. And you'll need about 4 sheets of pre-cooked lasagna. For the sauce, you're going to need 1 medium onion pulverized, and then we're going to need the garlic ginger paste again for that. We're also going to need the oil and the butter again, and again the cumin seeds, and again all of the spices. So again, turmeric powder, teaspoon, a quarter of a teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin and coriander powder, and 1 teaspoon again of the chili powder. You're going to need 1 cup of tomato paste. I've used passata. You're also going to need kesuri methi, so I've just got some ready-made from the shop. And you're also going to need your cheese, grated cheese, again just there, and once again coriander. I love coriander. I add coriander to everything. So let's see, where do we start? Let's get a pan. I've just used a nice wide frying pan, but any kind of non-stick pan is better. And then to that we add about 2 tablespoons of oil, which is about there. And I'm just going to let that heat up a little bit. Okay, add a seed, and I can see that the cumin seed is starting to sizzle up there. So to start off, here you go, 1 teaspoon of cumin seed. And to that I will add my chopped onions. Obviously you can see that it is really turn down the heat a little bit. And you can see that is definitely hotting up that oil. So just going to saute these onions off a little bit. So I can see it's just starting to brown. So I'm going to add my knob of butter, just there. The reason why I add the butter afterwards is I just don't want to burn the butter because there's a lot of salt in it as well. I find if I add it too early, sometimes it just burns the butter. So just like to add it. You really do want to make sure that the onions are cooked, but they don't want to be overcooked and they don't want to be raw. You do want a little bit of a crunch. So I am now going to add my ginger garlic paste, just there. So 2 teaspoons. So that's ginger, garlic and chilli. All mixed together. Just lightly saute that off. Now I'm going to add my paneer. Turn the heat right down now. So now to this, I will add my teaspoon of salt, a quarter of a teaspoon of turmeric powder. You would normally use a full teaspoon of chili powder. This chili powder, however, my mum got for me from India and it is really hot, so I'm only using a quarter of a teaspoon. But traditional, not traditional, but chili powder that you get in this country, you probably only need a teaspoon. And then 2 teaspoons of coriander and jeera powder. Now, that should be spiced enough. We do in our household like everything a little bit more spicy, so I'm actually going to add a little bit of garam masala. The garam masala which I'm going to use is homemade, which we have a separate recipe on, and I'm only going to use like a quarter of a teaspoon, but you can use any garam masala from, you can buy it in the supermarket, you can buy it in the Indian shops. Just makes it that slightly more spicier. That's it, and that's my paneer bhurji done. So I'm going to take this off the pan and put it to the side. So now for the sauce. My favourite pan, you can buy these in a lot of the Indian shops. They're not non-stick, but they kind of don't stick as much, and they're quite heavy based, but not too light. So we add again 2 tablespoons of oil to that. Just let it heat up again. Same thing, it needs to be really hot. Okay, so now that I can see, I'm only going to use half a teaspoon of cumin powder here, to which I'm going to add my pulverized onions. So once again, you can see I like to get the oil really nice and hot. where I'm noticing a lot of the oil has dried up, so I'll add my other butter. Looks like more than a knob, but that's because it's cut quite thinly. So you don't have to have butter if you want to be healthy. Just use a little bit of more oil in the beginning. Okay, so again, I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of ginger garlic paste with I'm now going to add my cup I'm going to add my salt to taste, so again about a teaspoon of salt. Very much the same, bit of turmeric powder, 2 of my coriander and cumin powder, and again it would normally be a teaspoon of chili powder, like I said, if you're using chili powder from the UK. However, the chili powder I've just used is from India and is extremely strong, really hot in taste, so for that reason I've only added a 1/4 of a teaspoon. I will now add my kesuri methi, and it's the smell of the kesuri methi. So in a traditional lasagna, you know, we'd have our mixed herbs, we'd have the basil, the oregano, chives, etc. As this is an Indian twist, I am using kesuri methi. So give it a really good mix. You can really smell the kesuri methi. I don't want to overcook it. Just going to add a slight dash of water there. So now that I feel that it's cooked, I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of creme fraiche. You can, if you don't want to use creme fraiche, you can use fresh cream. Reason why I'm using creme fraiche, so in a traditional lasagna you would have the white sauce. I just feel that the white sauce, again with a lot of cheese, because paneer is a form of cheese and then we have cheese on top, just becomes a bit too rich. Okay. And that's my sauce. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my lasagna dish here, as you can see. I'm putting it here because I don't want to put the dish on, although it is Pyrex, I don't want to put it into onto a pot. Okay, so first of all, we need to coat the dish. Okay, now before I add the burji, I'm going to add the rest of the coriander to the burji. Now the reason why I add this now, I always find that coriander tastes best when it's fresh, as uncooked. You can add it at the cooking stage if you like. I prefer to add it just at the end of cooking. I just find that it retains its flavour a little bit more, and the colour as well. That cool down a little bit. And just going to first layer. And the rest of the sauce. And all that is left is to make sure that I cover it with enough cheese. There we go. Now that is ready to go into the oven. So as you'll see, that's all done. I've already preheated my oven, so I am going to put that into the top shelf of the oven for about 10 minutes. Okay. So that's been in there for about 15 minutes. Take it out of the oven. You can leave it in a little bit longer. That was gas mark 270. I don't like the cheese totally burnt. It's taking it out a little bit earlier. But there is your Paneer Lasagna all ready to go. You can garnish it with a little bit of coriander. I do just like to add a little bit of pepper just on top. And there you have Paneer Lasagna.